All right, good afternoon or good morning, everyone, depending on where you are across Canada. We're going to get going here right now with the Using Your Data Beyond Design webinar. So this is mostly going to focus on new functionality for the 2020 release, but we're also looking to highlight some of the various solutions that you can leverage along with Javelin to take your design data and use it further. So just a quick welcome and thank you for joining, and we really appreciate you taking your time out of your busy day, and we'll introduce ourselves. So the person talking right now, I'm Brian Sprange. I've been with Javelin for about 3 years, working with SOLIDWORKS, and I learned SOLIDWORKS, I started to learn it at least in university. I primarily work on structural design and surface modeling along with scanning and rendering. So I'll pass it off to Vicky, our other co-presenter.
Hi, everybody. My name is Vicky Guignard. I've been an application expert with Javelin for 5 years now, but I've been using the SolidWorks suite of solutions for over a decade now. My main experiences were mostly using the SolidWorks platform for doing steel structure design and sheet metal mostly. So for those of you who are not familiar with who Javelin is, we are Canada's largest SOLIDWORKS reseller. We have offices all across Canada, so in every time zones, meaning that if ever you need to contact us for any questions, I believe in Mountain Standard Time, we are open from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. So again, I'd like to welcome you personally to today's webcast, which is using your data beyond design. 3D tools have been widely used for a long time, but mostly for sub-assemblies, not digital twins. So today, we'll be covering a number of solutions that let you repurpose your CAD data in multiple departments of your business while always relying on one single source of information.
So along with that, in manufacturing today, it uses some aspects of the design, but primarily just the 3D shape, which we're creating in something like SOLIDWORKS. With the reason we're tying it to Industry 4.0 is that's where it really looks to leverage a fully intelligent model along with tolerances and file properties to drive your CAM, maybe your quality inspection and like things like interactive assemblies, which means that your traditional drawings can sometimes even become optional with other technologies.
And with technical communication and presentations, we know that they're becoming more and more important and common. And the details needed to eliminate risks of errors constantly increases. With SOLIDWORKS Composer and Visualize, we can help in automating and reusing your 3D twin all the way to your deliverables. So just to reiterate what Brian was saying on Industry 4.0, quite simply, a digital twin is a virtual model of a process, product, or a service. So that this pairing of the virtual and physical worlds allows analysis of data and monitoring of systems to head off problems even before they occur. It can also help with preventing downtime, develop new opportunities, and even plan for the future by using simulations. So digital twins are becoming a business imperative, covering the entire life cycle of an asset or process and forming the foundation for connected products and services.
All right, so along that line, we're going to start out by talking about some of the markup capabilities in SOLIDWORKS, including some of the updates for 2020. So there are a few updates, which is going to make markups even more effective than before. So we're going to jump in and see those in a video here. So markups, they've proven to be an effective form of communication between collaborators while staying directly inside a SOLIDWORKS file. With SOLIDWORKS 2020, accessing these tools is easier now that they have their own toolbar and command manager tabs. We can see that here. We've got specific tools for markups. As always, the markups are stored in the feature manager tree under the markups folder, which makes it easy to get them. And with SOLIDWORKS 2020, finding a specific one is easier now that when you hover, you get a preview of the markup in the proper orientation which was created. Once you're satisfied with those markups, you can export one or all of them to different file formats. And this is a bit new, including PDF, JPEG, and TIFF. So we have lots of options there for what we're going to export those out as. So we can basically take screenshots, but have those linked back to the original file. Really exciting new capability is having markups in drawings. The same toolbars and workflows are available, which makes markups in drawings familiar and intuitive. And the visibility of markups can be controlled on an individual basis, as we can see there, or from the right click menu, or on a global basis using the view drop down and in the heads up bar here. So we can see that we can turn them on and off if you don't want to see them in your drawing. And then finally, really big one is in the past, participating in the markups required that you had a touchscreen device. With 2020, devices without touchscreens are supported. So you can simply use your mouse to click and draw, and SOLIDWORKS facilitates, or through that, it's going to facilitate effective communication throughout markups with the SOLIDWORKS 2020 enhancements. So it's easier than ever to use across all files and devices. And so kind of as we saw, the new methods to access markups makes it easier than ever to leverage the amazing clarity provided, and the ability to be able to use them in drawings is just the next logical step, since drawings are so often required in the workflow. And finally, the fact that you can use them without a touchscreen, as I said, means that nobody's left out of the workflow. You can all participate in it, even if it's just drawing a quick little check mark. Basically, what I'm trying to say is stop taking screenshots and keep that data linked and associated with the original SOLIDWORKS file. As we saw, it keeps them in the feature manager tree. And this is just one way which you can use your existing CAD models and your CAD data within your workflow for approving and reviewing your designs. With that, we'll pass it over to Vicky, who's got some enhancements for the MBD functionality, really exciting area.
Yeah, so SOLIDWORKS MBD, many people don't know what it is yet because it's quite a newer product within the SOLIDWORKS suite. So SOLIDWORKS MBD stands for model-based definition. And basically what it does is that it helps companies define and organize their product and manufacturing data right on the 3D model. So that eliminates the need for standard 2D drawing. And once that's completed, we can go ahead and publish that to industry standard formats like a PDF and so on. So with SOLIDWORKS MBD, all your dimensions, notes, and symbols are automatically placed on an annotation view and 3D views, that's where we organize our PMI information in a structured and easy to locate fashion. So in SOLIDWORKS 2020, individual annotations are now listed under each annotation views. So previously, whenever we created annotations, they were sort of all stored in one big folder, and they weren't really categorized. So they were sort of hard to find. So you'll see here that it really, really helps to visualize the relationship between the annotations and the view on which they were assigned. You can see here they highlight. So when you select an annotation in your feature tree, it's highlighted in the graphics area, and annotations can also be hidden and shown through the tree. The names of the DIM expert annotations also now follow a new format, which adds the feature name and dimension value to the previous format. So by default, annotations appear in a subfolder that corresponds to the view to which they belong, but can also be sorted by annotation type, such as dimensions, datums, notes, symbols, for better organization. So with SOLIDWORKS model-based definition, companies can capture all of their required PMI to guide the manufacturing process directly in 3D. So that helps in streamlining the production. It also reduces errors and eliminates traditional need for 2D drawings.
So that the next topic we're going to take a look at is SOLIDWORKS CAM, another area that's newer to SOLIDWORKS, but really interesting. It was first introduced in 2018, and it's a great way for any company which is using any form of CNC manufacturing, and it's a great option to look into. Basically, the entry level fits excellent with a 2-axis tool and light 3-axis, and there's options all the way up to working with full simultaneous 5-axis milling and beyond. So we can fit the right solution. The nice thing is there's lots of different tiers, so you can kind of get a Goldilocks solution for yourself where you're only getting what you need. Getting started with SOLIDWORKS CAM is really easy since it is in the SOLIDWORKS environment and it's included in every license. And then using it on a simple 2-axis or 3-axis machine, I think it's a great way to become familiar with the tools, and it can potentially free up a more expensive CAM programming license if you have multiple different machine types. This year, we're going to cover some of the major enhancements, and then we'll talk about some additional ones as well. It has 2 significant enhancements for 2020. The first of which is the ability to do tab cutting. So if we take a look at the traditional manufacturing setup for this sheet metal part, it's going to likely be a water jet or a laser or a plasma cutter. The problem, though, is these large holes when you're cutting something like this. If you think about what happens to the piece of metal from the middle once it's cut, the circular disc can certainly move and interfere with the remaining cutting operations. So that's where the new tab cutting option here solves that. And SOLIDWORKS 2020 gives the complete control to create tabs for each machining operation to exact specifications. So you can set the width, you can set offsets, however many you need, all that kind of information, and individual control as well. It makes it really simple and easy to apply these important features such as tabs to cut these out. Once it's completed, the toolpaths are updated automatically with the click of a button, and we can confirm that the tabs were actually generated there. We can see it in the toolpath preview, and then also run a quick simulation of manufacturing, and we can see the tabs there. So the part's ready to manufacture once again, and includes having those tabs, which saves time from needing to do this operation in the G code. In addition to the tabs for 2D cutting operations, you can also use this same technique in milling on more complex part manufacturing. So the next new feature is probing routines. And if we take a look at the more complex part here to manufacture, it's easy to see why probing routines are going to be critical to the manufacturing process with this. Many parts like this require initial cut, and then we need to reestablish those datums or reset them based on new features. So we can see that here where we're using that top face to reposition this part with the G54. With SOLIDWORKS CAM Professional, important thing there, it's in the professional level of 2020. You can now add these probing routines into the manufacturing setup versus just manually calling them in a post-processor. We can move them around so that they're where they need to be. And the ability to add these and then also simulate and visualize them in the manufacturing setup, it's a huge time saver, and it's also way more reliable than adding these in the post-processor manually, and especially when we're creating complex components like these. So as we saw, those are some 2 major enhancements. The last one that I like is the multi-point threading. It's a very special use case, but it basically allows you to use a multi-point thread tap if you're doing a tapered thread. It was a bit of a area that it was lacking before, but now that is included. So, and these upgrades really should prove to be powerful reasons to consider using the integrated SOLIDWORKS CAM to either augment existing CAM capabilities and to use your CAD data in more ways.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Another great example of how to reuse your CAD data is when you get to the technical documentation stage of your design. So we all know that with almost any product, it requires either assembly instructions or how to use videos and so on. And the current motto of what people currently do, many companies currently use screen captures with text to describe and illustrate how parts are put together. The problem with that is that no part of that process is parametric, and therefore it's super manual and prone to errors. Another downfall with this process is that whenever updates occur in the design stage, that process needs to be manually repeated. We can automate and add intelligence to this process by using tools such as SOLIDWORKS Composer, where we can import your CAD models irrelevant of the CAD format. And what that does is that a link is maintained to the original file so that whenever updates happen to the CAD files, all of your images automatically update. So now let's talk a little bit more about what is new inside of 2020 Composer. A great example of a company who repurposes their design is Omax. They're a water jet cutting machine manufacturer that's based in the States, and they truly leverage their CAD files from all the way from designs to manufacturing. So to show you the newest feature this year, we'll be using their MaxJet nozzle design. The CAD model you see here contains multiple named and exploded views necessary to document the design. With SOLIDWORKS Composer 2020, all of your SOLIDWORKS views are now included when you open the model, so you don't waste time having to recreate those. You can see that right here. This makes it quick and easy to create a custom exploded animation with Composer. And now you have even more formats available to you. Previously, we only had one format we could save our videos in, uh, which was AVI. Now we can save in Flash and MP4 formats, which are a lot more common. So even though animations can have a big impact on your audience, still images are often necessary. Now in 2020, we now have the option to publish a 360-degree view of your model in a series of raster or vector images. So this makes it faster than ever to publish images where multiple view angles are needed, or when you're reviewing image options with other stakeholders. SOLIDWORKS Composer 2020 helps you eliminate waste in your processes by leveraging even more information from your CAD models and automating content publishing tasks like that 360 new option.
Awesome. I love Composer and what it can actually give as a result. And to take it one step further, Composer is great for technical documentation, but when we have something like a marketing image that we need, that's where Visualize comes in. And they have packed the 2020 release full of new capabilities. But even still, really shows that SOLIDWORKS Visualize, it's been a game changer when companies need a quick and easy way to get photorealistic renderings. And Visualize 2020 is further pushing that. As I said, they're further pushing realism and efficiency to get a hyper real look to your product before manufacturing even begins. So the new lighting capabilities have been introduced to take advantage of industry standard IES light profiles. So we'll see that here. These are going to mimic real world lighting effects and can really push the realism a bit further. So we can see we can just select IAS and we choose what file that's going to be. We can download these from manufacturers, and a lot of them are going to make it's going to make applying the lights quick and easy for Visualize. The next one is instancing. So with Visualize, it's also more efficient when rendering multiple instances of geometry, like component patterns in assembly. Instancing is going to allow SOLIDWORKS Visualize 2020. It can now improve the performance and also reduce GPU memory requirements for large assembly renders because it's going to use the fact that that part is in the same space. It's going to save a lot of time in the rendering. The next area is the fact that Visualize offers full support or further support for some new formats and features like AXF and also GitF to allow even more compatibility between files. And then we also have increased hardware support. So not necessarily on this slide, but in previous versions of Visualize, we needed NVIDIA cards in order to take advantage of GPU rendering for faster renders. But in Visualize 2020, AMD ProRender is also now fully supported to utilize GPU rendering on AMD Workstation graphics card, which is a really big enhancement. Visualize 2019 introduced the option of using MDL file formats for materials, which allows for professionally curated materials by NVIDIA to be applied directly to our Visualize project. But now MDL files, while they were a huge addition to Visualize, they were still limitations on how we could interact with them. You can see here now in Visualize 2020, these limitations are a thing of the past as we have full control over things like texture scaling and sizing, as well as color fields and parameters. This is going to allow us to further customize MDL files for use in our render environments. And then the last one, which is a really big enhancement, is the fact that for 2020, Visualize is fully integrated with SOLIDWORKS PDM. So obviously protecting your data is crucial in any business, and your Visualize projects are no different from this. They're massive files that are really important. The integration allows for your Visualize files to collaborate with the PDM workflows. Really important thing there. So yeah, be sure to check out all the great improvements in Visualize 2020 and bring your products to life.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, Visualize is a fairly newer product as well, and I'm just finding our clients are adopting this new technology more and more. If you're still using PhotoView 360 for your renders, give us a call. There's new options that are included with your licenses that can give you even more photorealistic images. So I wanted to talk a little bit about SOLIDWORKS Inspection. SOLIDWORKS Inspection is a first article inspection application. If you have never heard of it and you have an inspection department, give us a call. This can save you hours of time. What it's meant to do is that it's meant to help you reduce the time needed to create your inspection documentation and also help to eliminate input errors, improve quality, and reduce your time to market. So when you're creating a new inspection project, we can add custom properties from either your drawing or the 3D model. So you simply choose to add a new custom property here, then choose from a list of predetermined property names stored in the project template. Next, selecting a new value displays all of the available custom properties on both the drawing or your 3D model. Any number and combination of both drawing and model properties can be added to your project, enabling your quality teams to leverage even more SOLIDWORKS design information. You will notice that we do not type any information here, but we extract and link the existing data. So once we completed filling out our report requirements, we simply accept, and inspection will go and balloon and number each characteristics that we have chosen. We can choose to group and ungroup these as we see fit. For example, this whole callout that we have here. So for example, if I want the depth and or the size to be separate line items on my report, so to be inspected differently or separately, this is how I would do it. I would split out this characteristic callout to have multiple line items on my report. So once this is done, we simply go ahead and accept our report template, and we are going to generate a nice comprehensive inspection report from here in the standard Excel format. So if you find yourself manually ballooning 2D drawings and highlighting numbers on Excel spreadsheets manually, this solution will be a great fit. It's just another way that SOLIDWORKS lets you reuse your data beyond your design. By automating the insertion of balloons and with a report generator, you can save a lot of time and be assured that the data that's within your report is actually accurate. Yes, we did. So the conclusion today, this webinar was assembled to show you all of our various tools, which you can use to further leverage the valuable design data that you've already spent all that money and time to work on. So all of these tools can collaborate to produce an even more powerful result. And when all of your data is in one central location, your 3D file, or resides within a PDM system, it means that it's all easy to find, and it's also easy to reuse in the future. Having one single source of information is critical to ensuring that the right data is getting to the right places when needed. It will also reduce the chance of human-prone error by automatically updating and populating information where it's required.
So there's even more tools than what we went over today, which you can use to collaborate on your designs and push the boundaries of what your current business is capable of. And along those lines, get in touch with your Javelin account manager or anyone at Javelin to discuss how new features in SOLIDWORKS could potentially increase efficiency for your product's life cycle.